Hello guys, once again welcome back to another Android app development tutorial. In this video I am going to teach you how to place a content placeholder animations like Facebook using Shimmer. Shimmer is a library from Facebook developers. So here is an example of Shimmer. So this is the content placeholder animation using Shimmer. So now we are going to learn about how to add this animation in our Android Studio project. So here I'm going to create an Android application that fetches some data from a remote server. So just before the data loaded from server, we are going to display this animation. So here the server is localhost. I'm going to use the localhost as web server. So here I am going to working with a WAMP server application. So now the WAMP server is running. I already create the needed database in server side. So go to the WAMP server, go to PHP myadmin, login into PHP myadmin. So here we have a database called the fruitsDB that contain a table called the fruits info. So here we have some data available on the table. We have some fruits name and some properties of fruits, and here we have image URL. So here I use the IP 10.0.2.2. This is because we are going to test this project on Android virtual device. So this is the default IP used by every Android virtual device to access the local host. So here I have some fruits images. So now I'm going to create some folder inside the root directory of WAMP server. So here I create a new folder called the fruits info. In that folder I'm going to create another folder called the images, and now create another folder called the scripts. Now we can place the images inside the image folder. Okay, so now we have to create a PHP scripts that return some JSON data. We have to place the PHP scripts inside the scripts folder. So here I'm going to use Notepad++ for writing PHP script. First change language into PHP. Okay, first I'm going to save this file. I name it as getfruitsinfo.php and save this file. So now we can write the PHP script. First initialize some variables. Host name, here it is localhost. Now specify username for the database. Now specify the password for the database. Now specify the database name. Here it is fruitsDB. Okay, now establish connection to the database using mysql connect method and pass the parameters. Okay, now if the connection is success, we can fetch information from the table. So first we have to write the needed SQL query. So select start from fruit info. Now we can execute that query using mysql query method. First parameter is connection, second parameter is the mysql query. Now here I create a variable called response. It is an array. Now fetch each row using a while loop by using this function mysql fetch assoc. Okay, so now save each row in the form of name value pair into the array by using the function array push. And finally we have to perform JSON encode and return back the result to the Android app. Also close the connection to MySQL database. Okay, so now save this file. So now we have to place this PHP script inside our web server. Place it inside the scripts folder. Okay, so now we can test our PHP script. Okay, now I'm going to open that file on web browser. Yeah, there is a folder called scripts. Get fruits info.php. Yeah, this is the response from the PHP script. So this is a JSON array that contains some JSON objects. So now I will show you the data in formatted form. Copy this output. Okay, this is the response from server. So this is a JSON array that contains some JSON objects. So here the JSON objects has 8 properties. Okay, so this is the response from server. So here this is the localhost, so the response is very quick. So actually we need some delay from server so that we can display our animation properly. So now I'm going to apply some delay from server. So open that PHP script again. So here I'm going to put some delay using sleep method. So just before perform the JSON encode, we are going to sleep the thread for 10 seconds. Okay, save this file. Now we can test it again. Now I'm going to run that file again. So now here we have some delay from server. We have a 10 seconds delay so that we can display the shimmer animation properly. Okay, so this is the response after 10 seconds. So now we can start the Android app development. So now open Android Studio. Start a new Android Studio project. I name it as Shimmer example. Now here the project is ready in Android Studio. So first we have to add the internet permission for the application. So open manifest folder, open Android manifest.xml and place the internet permission. Okay, so now we need to add the dependencies for the application. So open Gradle scripts and open module level Gradle scripts file. So these are some dependencies needed for the application. So first we have to add dependency for using card view and recycler view. Now we are going to use retrofit for network calls. So add the dependencies for using retrofit and retrofit JSON converter. Okay, so here we need some image loading library. We are going to use glide as image loading library. So add the dependency for using glide. Okay, so now we can add dependencies for Shimmer. So go to GitHub of Shimmer. Go to the GitHub page of Shimmer. Go to documentation, open documentation. This is the implementation for using Shimmer in Android Studio. Add it here. Okay, so now we add all the needed dependencies. Now sync this project. Now the project sync finishes successfully. Now I'm going to add some placeholder background color resource. So open colors.xml, and this is the color for the placeholder background. Okay, so now we can create the placeholder layout. I'm going to create a separate layout for the placeholder. So right click the layout folder and create a new layout resource file. I name it as placeholder layout. The root element is a card view. Okay, now we can add the needed view items. So here I create the placeholder layout. This is the placeholder. So here I click create the placeholder using an image view and some text views. So here we set the background as the placeholder background color, and we place some text view on a linear layout with orientation vertical. For the text view also we set the background. So now we can add this placeholder to the main activity layout file. So first I change the root element into a relative layout. Now add the Shimmer frame layout. Specify an ID for it. Here I name it as Shimmer view container. Now we can place the placeholder layout within this Shimmer layout. So I add a linear layout with orientation vertical. Now add the placeholder layout by using include. Okay, add number of same placeholder layout. So here I place 4 layout. Okay, so now we can test it whether to now go to main activity, create variables for Shimmer frame layout, initialize that variable. So now we can start the Shimmer animation on resume method. Also we have to stop it on post method. So call the start Shimmer method on resume method and call the stop Shimmer method from the on post method. Okay, so now we can test it. So I run the project. So now here the Shimmer animation is working fine. So now we can load data from server. Okay, now we can add the recycler view to the activity main.xml. Specify an ID for it. Now specify the visibility into gone. Now initialize the recycler view variable inside main activity.java file. Initialize that variable. Now set some parameters on the recycler view. Specify the layout manager into a linear layout manager. Now for improved performance, set has fixed size into true. Okay. So now we can create a data class. So create a new Java class. I name it as fruit. In that class, going to create some variables, some string variables. Name carbohydrate calories, carbohydrates. Now protein. Now fiber. Fat. Image URL. Okay. Now specify the serialized name annotation for each of these variables for proper JSON mapping. Okay, now we need to add getter method for all these variables. Add getter methods for all these variables. Okay, so this is the data class. Now we can configure retrofit. So first create a class called API client. First specify the base URL. So here we use the IP 10.0.2.2. This is because we are going to test this project on Android virtual devices. Now specify variable for retrofit. Now we need to create a method that return an instance of retrofit. So first check if retrofit is null. In that case we have to initialize that API. So first create some variables for OK HTTP client. Now we have to specify the timeout, connection timeout first. Specify 20 seconds. Now specify the write timeout, that is also 20 seconds. Finally we have to specify the read timeout, that is also specify as 20 seconds. Finally build it. Okay, so now we can initialize the retrofit API. New retrofit.builder, specify the client, it is OK HTTP client. Now specify the base URL. Now specify the converter factory. Here it is JSON converter factory. And finally build it. And finally we have to return the instance of retrofit from this method. Okay, now we can create the API interface. So create a new Java class. It is an interface. I name it as API interface. Now we can specify the needed methods. So here we need only one method. Here the return type is an object of, it's a list of objects. Here it is a list of fruit class object. So here I specify the method name as getFruitInfo. Now we have to specify the API endpoint. So here the endpoint is getFruitInfo.php. Okay, so this is the API interface. So now we have to create a separate layout file for each item on the recycler view. So here I create a separate layout file. So here I name it as item layout, and here the root element is a card view. Okay, so now I'm going to add the needed view components. So here I place all the needed view component. So here we have an image view to display the image, fruit image, and we have some text view to display the fruit properties. Okay, so this is the layout for each item on the recycler view. Okay, now we can create the adapter for recycler view. So here I name it as recycler adapter, extends adapter. Implement the needed methods. Okay, first I am going to specify the viewHolder class. I name it as myViewHolder, extends viewHolder. This class needs a constructor. Now I'm going to specify some variables here. So here I specify some image view and some text views. So the image view for display fruit image and text view for display the fruit properties. Now we can initialize these variables from the constructor. So here I initialize all the variables using find view by id method. Okay, so now specify generate type for the class. Here it is the view my view holder class object. For this method, the return type is an object of my view holder. Here the first parameter is an object of my view holder. So now create some variables, context. Now we need some list. Now create a constructor for this class. Constructor need two parameter, context and list. Okay, now initialize the variables from the constructor. So from the get item count method, return the size of the list. Okay, now we can create each item layout from the onCreateViewHolder method using the layout inflator. So here it is item layout. So this method return an object of viewholder. Okay, now we can bind data to the layout from the onBindViewHolder method. So first get the current object of fruit class. First we are going to display the fruit image using glide library. Get the URL from the fruit object. Get the image URL. Now into the image view. Okay, so now we can display the fruit properties such as name, carbohydrate, calories, etc. So first here I display the fruit name, and here I display all the other fruit properties. Okay, so now the adapter class is ready. Now open main activity. So now create some variables for the adapter class. Now here I am going to create a separate method for the server call. So here the return the result from server is a list of fruit class. API client dot get API client, create API interface dot class and call the method get fruits info. Now implement the callback methods. So from on response we can receive a response from server. So here the response is a list of objects. So response.body. Okay, now we can initialize the adapter. So for adapter we have to pass two parameters. First one is context and second one is the list. Okay, now we need to stop the shimmer animation. Also we have to hide the shimmer frame layout. At the same time we have to display the recycler view. So recycler view dot set visibility into visible. Also we have to set adapter for the recycler view. Okay, and finally we can call that method from the onCreate method. So now we can test our project. So run it. So now the animation is working fine. So here we have 10 seconds delay from server. Okay, after 10 seconds we got the response from server. So this is how we place the content placeholder animations using Shimmer. I hope you understand the concept. Thank you for watching.